All right, so welcome back to OTP. We're gonna fire Rocco Baldelli. That's the first order of business here. We gave him a shot, but it didn't really work out. We had a terrible record this year, of course. If we're gonna be this bad, we might as well go a different direction. Rocco Baldelli was from a different era when this team was a lot more focused on winning. This guy has legendary handles development and legendary teach pitching, so we're not gonna fire him. Keith Langston is an excellent pitching coach. I'd say we could have a better hitting coach than Borgschalt, even though Borgschalt is young. We'll fire him. Chero, this guy's okay. Teaches running pretty well. Tommy Watkins, who could use a better third base coach, so we'll fire him. And a lot of guys in the minor league system still have a year left. It's always a hassle hiring and firing minor league guys in this game, even though it's important. I think I'm just going to let some of these guys down here's contract expire in this next year, and next offseason we'll deal with a big minor league coaching overhaul. Scouting director is very important. He's got excellent scout amateurs. Let's check our international complex to see how good of a job he's been doing. We've got a few guys down here. I'm not like stressed about it. He's got 1 year left. I think we can keep him for another year. Team trainer, yeah, PJ Manville is a guy that we hired, so we'll keep him. So we've got 4 open spots now: manager, bench coach, hitting coach, and third base coach we need. And the offseason starts today. Let's see what horrible score we get for this season. It's got to be a 0. We went 58-104. Cannot imagine how bad. Yeah, we get a 1. We score 1 for this season. But hey, listen, the arbitration period's over. We've got some personnel leaving from the minor leagues, so we are going to have to hire some minor league people despite my best efforts. And if we're going to have that many holes, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. A little article here about Tigers win the World Series, just to refresh your memory. Rocco Baldelli. We decided to go in a different direction. We'd like to thank Rocco for his service and wish him well in the future. It's about how I feel. Not my guy. I didn't hire him. Now I get to hire a manager. Team chemistry says the team chemistry is bad. Sometimes I think you're trying to alienate our fans. Listen. Listen. I'm not the one who said they were going to sell the team and then didn't sell. Talk to me about alienating the fans. You did it first, bro. You did it first. You alienated the fans first, most certainly. When I asked you to find a better power hitter, I didn't have Austin Wells in mind. Well, that wasn't the guy. That is the main concern this offseason. So it's nice that that's an owner goal at least. We need a better power hitter than Matt Wallner. Brett Beatty leading the team in home runs is disgusting. We've got to find a real dude. We had a couple guys where we traded him at the deadline, of course, guys who were really supposed to be providing power, but there really was not a guy last year at all. Even any of the guys we signed, nobody really showed up and became that main guy in terms of hitting the ball out of the park. Brooks Lee was really our best offensive performer, and that's not what you want to see. It's me saying he's our best offensive performer. He's got a 102 OPS plus. So yeah, we've got pretty much a completely wiped minor league system. Actually, I don't know what I was talking about. Pretty much everybody's gone. Toby Gardenhire, obvious Nepo hire. We'll just fire him. He's average also. Brian Dinkelman, he's not very good. We'll fire him. So we pretty much need everything. But let's start at the major league level. We could also use an assistant GM. That's what we'll deal with last, though. We need a manager before we need anything, of course. Preferred occupation manager. Let's see. What should we sort by? There's nobody with a crazy reputation available. At least we can certainly go by mechanics, development, handle aging, I think is good. Teaching infield, always important, will give us a solid defense. I'm tired of these managers working well with temperamental. That's kind of weird how many of these guys work well with a temperamental personality. Wouldn't you rather have a manager who works well with a personable personality? I don't know. I guess maybe it's better for the pros. It's better for major leagues. They're dealing with egos. Works well with temperamental once again. I'm trying to find somebody with good relationships. I mean, it might not matter because when the team is good, I doubt much of this roster is going to still be here. Wayne Masters, here we go. It says manager style small ball, but his hitting focus is patience. He's got really good hitting development. I like this guy, Wayne Masters. He's a little old. The relationships are average. He's got an excellent relationship with a couple players. Let's give this guy a shot. Let's give this guy a shot. This is the best manager I've seen. Not a big name necessarily. Who cares? We'll just offer him a 5-year contract. We're in commissioner mode, to be honest with you. It's $1 million a year for a major league manager. Bench coach. Now this is going to come down to relationships. I always think this is the most important thing. We've got a few guys who have good relationships here. And hopefully it's somebody who's also got some coaching skill. Alejandro Herrera looks okay. Tom the Flash Gordon, Alejandro Herrera, Tim Laker. Basketball season started tonight. You guys have one in the finals this year. Well, a question for you guys. Just I of course have the Knicks. So excited they beat the Celtics. I remembered that happened because it's so hard to believe. Even as a Knicks fan, even as someone who watched every game last year, the whole offseason goes by. Basketball offseason feels like an eternity. Basketball is a funny sport because both the season and the offseason feel like an eternity. The season feels so long, but the offseason also feels like that's how hockey is too, though. Some about those winter sports that play a billion games or 80 plus. It feels like both the offseason and the season are super long. But yeah, man, I just thought of that today. Man, we really beat the Celtics last season. We really did that shit. Maybe we can do it again. Mickey Dallas. This guy's fantastic. This is our bench coach right here. All 6'4" of them. Minnesota Twins bench coach. Hitting coach. This is obviously going to be more about coaching ability. Just who's the best at teaching hitting, development, and mechanics. And I mean, Dennis Brow. Don't know if any of these guys are going to have good relationships, but I'd like somebody with. I mean, excellent development's not bad. It'll be either Hartley or Fred McNair. Hartley, it says hitting focus is contact. Man, I kind of like Thomas Hartley. He seems like a very aggressive style of hitting coach. It says the setting focus is patience. I'm gonna do the interesting thing. I'm gonna go with the contact guy. I'm gonna go with Thomas Hartley. And third base coach. Let's find somebody who does a good job on the running side. Carlos Lara. Good relationships. It's a quick one, but we'll pick him. He was apparently in our minor league system, but whatever. In the DSL, he'll move up to third base coach. And now we got to fill out the minor league managers. Who wants to be the St. Paul Saints manager? Lloyd Jackson. Handles development. Legendary, absolutely. Get in here. A double-A manager. Development. Just want the best development possible. We are just going to take the guys with the highest development. And if that doesn't work, you can't blame me. Do we not have a high A team anymore? Or did we ever have a high A team? I'll check that in a second. Wayne Masters is going to be our manager. Richard Spoyd. Richard Spoyd should have been our manager. What a name. No, we do. The Colonels are a high A team. Okay, we just don't have an opening in high A. Oh, okay, so we have managers for these two teams. I don't know about him being the FCL manager though. I see. Okay, yeah. So we just need an FCL manager. David Tufo, only 39, also has excellent or legendary. So we'll Let him be the FCL manager. Uh, Shane Sheldon, very talented pitching coach. He'll move and be our AAA guy. Really important position, AAA pitching coach. Can really stabilize the major league pitching staff, having a really good AAA pitching staff. Of course, having guys to call upon is going to be very, very important, especially in a division like the Central. Jeff Borghese, legendary. Hitting development, going to be our AAA hitting coach. David Neville, Harry Potter name. Going to be the AA hitting coach. Need a AA pitching coach now. Dave Bird, get in here. Single A pitching coach. Just going to pick another guy with outstanding or legendary. Getting easy at this point. Hitting coach. Not that it wasn't easy from the start. I am hiring coaches in a baseball simulation video game. Not exactly the highest maintenance task I have ever performed in my life. Pitching coach, back. Pitching coach. Jeff Long. Sounds like a good pitching coach. Just because your name is Jeff Long, I'm going to hire you. You sound like a competent pitching coach. Hitting coach. Jeffy Ewer. You were what? You were what, bro? Pitching coach. Hitting coach in the Dominican League. Let's just find someone who sounds Dominican. Jose Salas. There we go. For immersion purposes. He's Venezuelan. But okay. Anthony Felston. You're going to be our Florida Coast hitting coach. We're almost there, boys. We can almost do arbitration. We're almost out of this coach hiring into arbitration. One of these guys is probably not going to sign, but I'm going to totally miss it and have to replace him later when I notice, because that's what always happens. Like nine out of the 10 coaches I try to sign will sign, and then I just won't even notice the one guy that doesn't. We'll just have one of our coach spots in the minors not occupied. Just look at these slash lines, man. Trevor Larnach is somebody that we're definitely going to trade right now, actually, because I don't even want him to go through arbitration. He had decent offensive stats, and I know that that's just a platoon thing, so I don't want him to get a big pay raise, and I definitely want to do something different at first base, and I think we're going to have a lot of opportunity to. So I'm going to shop around Trevor Larnach just right now, right off the bat, before we even go to arbitration hearings, because I know that I don't want to offer him arbitration. Win Hui Pan, kind of an interesting pitcher, decent velocity. And the reason I'm looking at him is because he isn't in arbitration, so it's also a cost-saving move. Nick Lofton, 28. Also, not exactly a premium position, corner outfield, pretty easy to find. I really don't mind this reliever from the Marlins. I would just like another prospect thrown in here, even if it isn't an exceptional one. Here, Jacob Berry's a first baseman, switch hitter. Probably not going to develop, but we can put him in the minor league system and see what he turns into. This guy's not the best reliever I've ever seen. We can just throw him in. I think Ross is even worse, to be honest with you. So there we go. It'll be Trevor Larnach and Mike Ross for Hui Pan and Jacob Berry. Maybe not the most beneficial trade, but I wanted to trade Larnach for somebody who would not cost me any money on the Major League roster. And let's look at arbitration. Bailey Ober. We can try to trade him too. I'm definitely not going to offer him. We are going to offer Joe Ryan. I'd say we're getting a deal on Joe Ryan at 10 million. That injury was fortunate for us in that way, unfortunate in just about every other way. He's going to have to prove his value in some way if we're going to trade him. It's unfortunate that that's where we're at, but the 4.8 ERA he had in his last partial season, at least before the injury, definitely dove his value down. So kind of in a rough spot in Joe Ryan. In a lot of ways, the last guy left over from that previous era of the Twins already. Brian Baker, we're fine with. He had a bad ERA, but we can give him that money. Kyle Iwagi, same deal. Austin Wells, we're fine at 2.6 million. Miranda, I'm okay, 2.6 million. Matt Wallner at 1.8. I mean, how much can it hurt? I'm not a big fan of his at all, but like, really, how much can it hurt? Brett Beatty at 2.6. Maybe we could look to trade him. I mean, again, he led the team in home runs, but he had a pretty dreadful slash line with us, 211, 273. Yeah, 211, 273, 389 for a 6.62 OPS, 87 OPS plus, negative 0.2 wins above replacement. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if anybody would even want to trade anything for him, but I'm definitely going to try to shop around him and shop around Bailey Ober and see if we get anything at all. Yeah, there's not really anybody that I'm seeing here for Brett Beatty that I necessarily think would be that big of an improvement. Not a big believer in MJ Melendez at this point. Akil Baddoo, neither. Javi Baez at 33 years old. Tyler Freeman doesn't really have much pop. Cody Clemens. I'm just not big on the hit profile. I'm not big on the hit profile on Brett Beatty either, but quite frankly, neither am I any of the guys we're getting offered here. So I think I'm going to hold on to Brett Beatty. He's not that expensive. He's definitely a trade block candidate. Let's put him on the trade block and see if anybody gives us any offers. We might get something interesting for him. But in terms of those offers, I didn't see anything worthwhile. So let's look at Bailey Ober. Might have to eat money on Bailey Ober to get somebody to take him. That is correct. Not Chris Bryant. How about no? Yeah, okay. So we're not going to enter the Chris Bryant Twins era. We're going to keep, or rather just not offer Bailey Ober arbitration and he'll walk. I'm not giving him $5 million. Dustin May is a pending UFA without compensation. 5.34 ERA, still throws 100 miles an hour. That's a pretty affordable contract. How about just 2 years at a little bit higher of a value, Dustin? How about we go 2.7 million for 2 years? And hopefully he doesn't get too mad at that. Okay. He was already angry entering the negotiation, but we get it done. So the rest of these guys are fine. Miranda, I don't even want to trade. He's a nice depth bat. JC Escaro, we'll see if he signs a minor league extension. Michael Hellman, decent depth guy. Wouldn't mind giving him an extension. Adam Macko, the Rule 5 pick. Luis Medina. We've got some okay arms down in the minors, man. We're not really suffering that much for depth arms in the minors. It's just a matter of, you got to bring them up to the majors and see who actually sticks. If Johnny Pareda wants a major league deal, I'm not going to give him that. Anthony Prado, take a minor league extension. Ryan Presley, we're lucky he wants to take a minor league extension. Carlos Rodriguez, wish he had some pop. He'd be a really great player. Kalai Rosario does have some pop, but he likes to strike out. Josh Steven, decent pitch arsenal. Moderate chance to develop. Yorbit Vivas, kind of crazy to believe how long I've been hearing his name. He's only 25. Simeon Woods Richardson. You know what? Fine. I feel like Simeon Woods Richardson belongs on and around the Twins roster at this point. Huskar Yanoa, the O.O.T.P legend. Again, I feel I've had this guy in O.O.T.P for 15 years. and he's 25. Or 28, did he say? Yeah, 28. Still hard to believe. Younger than I am. Yair Camargo, minor league extension. Cepedas, minor league extension. Moises Chase, the guy we traded for. You guessed it, minor league extension. I'm not gonna like put him in the rotation or hit him fifth or anything just because he's somebody I traded for. I'm not Brian Cashman. Cough cough Ahmed Rosario. I think that was in the Red Sox series that we won. It's still ridiculous that that he was hitting fifth. Ricardo Olivar is a player, man. Addison Paulino. It is crazy how much of the talent, the hitting talent in this game. I'm sure it's like this in real life too, but so much of the minor league hitting talent is concentrated in the corner outfield positions. And it just seems like so many right fielders and left fielders have a better hit tool than guys at other positions in the minor leagues coming up. There's so few. Such a notable lack of conventional first basemen, guys who were coached and trained throughout their development to play the first base position. I think the development lab is open. Yes, it is. Perfect. So we're going to do this, and then we can start simulating the offseason. Walker Jenkins is obviously the first. Let's see what we want him to do. I mean, it's obviously got to be some kind of batting focus. Let's just do quality of contact. I think it's worth it. And we'll keep an eye on him. Emmanuel Rodriguez, I'd like to do. Let's just do plate discipline with him. Let's do plate discipline with Nixon Garcia as well. Riley Quick is an important pitching prospect. I'd like to get him drilled on improved control because he needs to improve his control. Jorge Barros is okay. I don't know how much help he needs. Quentin Young, definitely an important prospect. We'll give him plate discipline. Maybe Moises Chase? No, I don't think so. Yofran Castillo, he could use some he could use some plate discipline as well. Yeah. Oh, it says gap power medium. Nah, let's do plate discipline. Devin Salty been a really good player. Uh, he's pretty much good at everything. But you know what? Let's give him gap power. See how that influences his hitting going forward. Let me take a look at AAA and see if there's a special player down there where I'm like, huh, he does need some development. Abimelec Ortiz. How about Ronnie Mauricio? That's a good bet. I kind of want Ronnie Mauricio to be up on the team next year. He can for sure get plate discipline. And that'll do it for the development lab, and now we can start simulating the offseason. We're going to pick up Mason Barnett off waivers here from the Sacramento Athletics. Got a few guys placed on waivers here at the end of the season. Let's take a look at the hitters as well. Anybody? Armando Alvarez kind of looks similar to Trevor Larnach. He wasn't 32. He also has a broken kneecap, sadly. I would take him otherwise, perhaps. Alvarez is his team leader, but limited in terms of intelligence and never really produced at the major league level. I'm not going to pick him up either. I am going to reject this trade from the Cardinals for Lars Nootbaar. Even though I am, borderline willing to give up on the Zebby Matthews dream, I've stated my reasons for liking Zebby Matthews several times in the save already. Essentially, his control and velocity. I'm not just Lars Nootbaar. The stats, it's the stats. 207, 265, 407. I'm just not really willing to take a chance on that, even if he is a cheap player. I think we have an exciting young outfield coming up here with Garcia and Walker Jenkins potentially next year, and I don't want to throw another guy into that mix when, like I said, the corner outfield offense is not exactly at a premium. Mason Barnett now on the team. I'd say we're just going to move him right onto the. Well, oh, he's injured. Okay, we'll put him on the 60-day. Never mind, he can't be on the injured list in the offseason. We'll just pop him on the roster and then I go back on the injured list once the season starts because I'm pretty sure he's going to be injured when the season starts anyway. Okay, a bunch of guys sign extensions. Wayne Masters is our new manager. So we might have a new look lineup when we look in here. Still the same pitching rotation. Man, Robert Gasser with that 7.44 ERA just sticking out like a thumb down there. Let's see. Let's see how we. Let's just see. Let's see what the team looks like before we know whether or not Robert Gasser is going to be in the rotation. And it is an interesting lineup. He's got Jose Miranda starting at first base right now, but I don't necessarily know that we have a better first baseman than that, sadly. But again, that's going to be our main concern. Yeah, we don't really have another guy listed as a first baseman. In terms of organizational options, we have first base in the minors. Kalai Rosario, that's an outfielder. So yeah, we need some first baseman. Dustin Banks, his extension. Thomas Hartley's here as our new hitting coach. And we get an offer, Vinny Pasquantino, who is definitely an interesting first base bat. I'm a lot more willing to listen to this one. I love the power. I love the avoid Ks. I like the first base. It's Peyton Eels, who I'm not super willing to part with, but a negative OPS plus player, a 71 OPS plus, a negative WAR player rather. And Ricardo Pais, who is not a prospect I'm familiar with. I'm willing to take this trade. Let's see who they want other than like instead of Eels, if we can replace that with somebody else. Not anybody who I think is worse than Eels. All these players are pretty safely better or more promising than Eels, other than Andrew Morris. But you know, the thing that puts Peyton Eels over the top in my heart as a player is his size. He's only 5'5". He's short. But this is a video game, so it doesn't really matter. In real life, I might be more willing to cling on to him for the the underdog factor. But I'm going to trade him for Vinny Pasquantino. I think trading a 5'5" utility second baseman for a genuine power hitting first baseman, when a genuine power hitting first baseman was my number one. He's also a lefty and he's also under 30. I can, get over not having a good eye. I'd rather, replace Trevor Larnach with Vinny Pasquantino in a vacuum. I'd do that 10 times out of 10. So Vinny Pasquantino, and we're taking him from a divisional rival and not really giving them anything that meaningful back other than a utility infielder. So, hell yeah, I think we got a good first baseman there. And we can maybe worry a little bit more about our other more significant shortcomings in the offseason, although it has Vinny Pasquantino there at DH. But, I'm not going to. Well, we're still going to be looking for power. This team is in desperate need of offense regardless. Let's go to the awards. Here's a look at your gold glovers in the American League. We don't have a gold glover. Pablo Lopez, former Twin, wins the pitching gold glove. Jake Rogers, Gunnar Henderson, Anderson Jimenez. Lots of Blue Jays here. Bobby Witt at shortstop, no surprise there. Stephen Kwan, no surprise. Byron Buxton, former Twin as well. And Mike Trout hauling in a 2026 gold glove. Love to see it. Patrick Bailey in the National League. Bryce Turang. Brian Hayes now with the Reds. Helio Ramos. Jose Siri in center field, no surprise there. And Fernando Tatis wins the gold glove out and right in the National League. The NL reliever of the year is Wandy Peralta, who will now be a free agent, surely to get paid well. Will Vest, the closer on the Tigers, who took home the World Series, of course, wins the reliever of the year in the American League, deservedly so. There's our Platinum Stick Award winner, Isaac Paredes, sneaking one in there at a DH. Aaron Judge, 32 home runs only, but still wins a Silver Slugger is what this award would essentially be, the Silver Slugger Award. Evan Carter, Bo Bichette, Jose Ramirez, Jazz Chisholm at second base as well. Pretty mediocre Silver Slugger there at only 240. Never mind, 47 home runs. I guess he had to sacrifice some batting average to get those 47 home runs. Guerrero, Only 28 home runs, but he hit 321. So the yin and the yang there. Yeah, Cal Raleigh 43 home runs, but he has to hit 222. Lots of guys seem like they're sacrificing batting average to get those home runs. That is quite often the way it is. National League Silver Sluggers: Will Smith, Bryce Harper, Ketel Marte, Alec Boehm. Lots of Nationals and lots of Phillies on this list. C.J. Abrams, James Wood, Jack Small, and Dylan Cruz. So Dylan Cruz, James Wood, and C.J. Abrams from the Nationals. Nationals certainly having a breakout year. A lot of people are sure to pick that next year in real life. I think a lot of people like those young talents on the Nationals, as the simulation clearly does. Rukia Koyama, the biggest ticket over from Japan, wins the Rookie of the Year. And Bryce Eldridge, very impressive rookie season out of the 22-year-old 6'7" outfielder from the San Francisco Giants. Giants tried to sign Aaron Judge in free agency and got a pretty decent Aaron Judge replacement here. Doesn't have the speed Judge does, maybe not the glove, but physical profile and the power profile is pretty similar. 32 home runs, 275, 337, 510, 138 OPS plus. Definitely some isolated power there from Bryce Eldridge. That's an impressive middle of the order bat there for the Giants. Sure to help them out in the future. Manager of the year, it's not Rocco Baldelli. I'll tell you who it's not. As it's Dave Roberts and AJ Hinch. Big shock. The two guys that won the pennants. Take home manager of the year. Not terribly creative manager of the year voting there. But like I said, long as it's not Rocco Baldelli. Logan Webb, shock of absolutely nobody after that insane season with a 1.79 ERA, wins the Cy Young Award. And the American League also, to the surprise of no one, Tariq Skubal, putting up a 2.53 ERA in a World Championship season. And now to the MVP. Will Logan Webb get consideration for MVP in the National League with that insane pitching season? The American League MVP goes to Jazz Chisholm Jr. over Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We saw those two in the Silver Slugger voting. But Jazz Chisholm with that 243 batting average with the 47 home runs and the 113 RBI are in fact enough. Tariq Skubal gets 4 first place votes, and I certainly understand the logic given how his team did, especially. Vlad Guerrero would probably be my vote in real life with the 404 on base percentage. A 339 on base percentage winning you the MVP just doesn't feel fair, even with 47 home runs. This would sort of be like Curtis Granderson winning the MVP in one of those early 2010 seasons with the Yankees, like 2014 or something, where he put up 40-something home runs. Like, does he really deserve to win the MVP for that, though? I don't really know. I don't know how I would feel about that, even as a Yankee fan, if Jazz Chisholm won an MVP race like this. Fortunately, I think most future MVP races are going to have more explosive numbers than that. Too many guys going for launch angle. I think you're going to see a lot of 50 home run seasons. Probably pretty much for the rest of baseball history, especially given how hard these guys hit the ball and how hard everybody seems to pitch now. I think partially such high home run totals are a result of so many guys throwing 100 miles an hour also, actually. Just guys who are actually have a genuine skill at turning that velocity around, like Shohei Ohtani, who is the undisputed MVP for has to be the 15 billionth time. That is his 4th MVP award. Second in baseball history now behind Barry Bonds, and definitely the most MVP clean player in baseball history now, Shohei Ohtani after that. 4th MVP. Jackson Chourio up second, and James Wood. Expect to see a few Nationals on the list of guys receiving votes, but it's Shohei Ohtani clearing away with a 53 home run, 135 RBI campaign. Best offensive player in the entirety of Major League Baseball. Only a 4.24 ERA. Eek, avert your eyes. And now we're going to go forward to free agency, and we're going to try to figure out how we can make the Twins better here for year 2. Hopefully year 2 will not be such a struggle relative to year 1, but I do have an inkling that year 2 we're going to be picking up some guys, some veterans for the lineup and flipping them at the deadline again. That will probably be a similar theme to year 1, and I would not expect year 2 to be the most roaring success. I don't exactly expect to make the playoffs because the pitching, you can start to see a game plan here with Kumar Rocker, with Will Warren, with Cam Schlittler, some of the guys we brought in from the Yankees. But the offense, the game plan for the offense here is really still not clear yet. And, you'd like to come to a little bit more of a conclusion. And we've got something here, with Vinny Pasquantino, with Austin Wells, with Walker Jenkins in the future. Hopefully Emmanuel Rodriguez can figure it out. Nixon Garcia had a good a good cup of coffee with a 319 batting average. Hopefully, we can piece together an offense here and start to figure things out this season. But I have far from lofty expectations, and we're just gonna go in and see what kind of interesting free agents we can have to supplement the production that we already have. Because there is something here. Sung Chae Chang almost hit 300. Just Nixon Garcia, of course, as I just said, with the over 300. Isaac Collins, switch hitter, hitting third with some decent production. Brooks Lee could also hit third. He's a switch hitter, middle infielder. 19 home runs, 260 batting average. Austin Wells, not a bad catcher. Matt Wallner is capable of hitting the ball over the fence. He could have a bounce back year if he has more protection around him. So we just have to supplement some things and hope that things get better. Uh, but like any great ball club, this team is going to be driven by its offense, and we got to figure that out. That's my main concern here in free agency. Of course, don't be surprised to see us bring in a pitcher. That's always going to happen. We probably are going to have a lot of money available, and we're really going to be looking to move guys aggressively at the deadline next year. So let's get to it. So I did some free agency signings, but then the game crashed and undid them. So the first one was Yammer Candelario. First baseman doesn't want a ton of money. A lot of the first basemen want really big contracts. Max Muncy's 37, looking for 27 million a year over 5 years. So we're gonna stay away from Max Muncy, who was the guy I originally wanted. But we're gonna have a few guys that we sign essentially as a compromise. We're gonna go Yammer Candelario. We're gonna go Jock Peterson as well, looking to potentially play DH and provide some cover at first base. We're gonna give him a 1-year deal for 11 million instead of the 2 by 9 he was asking for. He says it's a decent offer. Hopefully he takes it. And then Taylor Ward is going to round that out. We still have a ton of money left. He wants a longer deal. The game crashed. I was trying to restructure it into a 4-year deal from this 7-year deal. But it's more first base depth. It's more corner outfield depth. But more importantly, I think Taylor Ward is the guy that I want to be a DH. And I really see him as sort of a better, older version of Matt Wallner. Although he's a righty, Matt Wallner's a lefty. They both share the strikeout issue, but I'm basically saying at this point, like Twins teams of the past, we're going to eschew the strikeout issue in favor of just pure offensive production because our offensive production was so dreadful. I'll take guys that strike out and hit the ball over the fence over, Brooks Lee leading the team in home runs with 19. I think that needs to change. And I think Taylor Ward, if we give him a full season worth of opportunities, he's going to hit far more than 19 home runs. So we're going to give him 23 in the first year, then 25 last two, 21 in the last year with that player option. Asked for his response. Said it's a decent offer. We do not want to give Taylor Ward 7 years. I'm a lot happier with 4. So first infielder I want to pick up this offseason is Luis Arias. We need more infield depth, certainly. Then Ozzy Albies is also available. I'm not super in love with the basic batting ratings, but, he's a switch hitter. He's Ozzy Albies. He wants $5 million durable. He'll at least give us at bats. Didn't even put up a 300 on base percentage, but pretty high ceiling on Ozzy Albies still, in my opinion. Like the 70 avoid case. We'll see what he can offer us. He can also steal a base pretty well. Ha-Sung Kim, I would take him, but he wants too much money, 15 million. A little more than I'm willing to spend here on this free agent infielder spot. Jeff McNeil, if he wasn't 34, I would take him. He doesn't have a lot of speed. Not coming off a super strong offensive season, but I still like the ratings. Emmanuel Valdez, not a bad looking hit tool. 266, 395, 426 in AAA. Plays first base as well as all over the infield. Only wants 1.8 million. Ryan Noda with that classic 80i. I don't know. I don't want to cloud up the AAA team, to be honest with you. There was another infielder I was looking at. Here he is, Ronnie Simon. 26 years old, former Marlins, former Pittsburgh fireman. Played a couple games in the bigs for Pittsburgh. Decent hit tool, decent running. Only 26. That's why I'm picking him up. We'll see what he can do. Probably in AA. So far we've given ourselves some depth. Luis Arias, Ozzy Albies, Candelario, Peterson, and Ward for the outfield. So we're gonna have pretty good outfield depth and pretty good infield depth. We already have Chang, Collins, and Brooks Lee in the infield, of course. But I'd say that's probably a weaker part of our team. I'm not really big on Brett Beatty or Austin Martin. I would like to eventually find somebody to replace and surpass those two. And we still have 36 million, so let's look for a starting pitcher. That should definitely be the order of business. Rod Molina wants 26 million coming over from Cuba. 4-pitch mix. Not a great slider, not a great splitter. Doesn't throw a fastball. Not superior stamina. 92 to 94. I think this guy's a little overrated. Michael King wants 23 million. That's pretty interesting. Only 31 years old. Didn't really think we were going to get anybody under 30. It doesn't surprise me that there really isn't anybody. Luis Heel. We're definitely going to give a chance to Luis Heel. It's another former Yankee, but 3 great pitches, struggles with control, struggles to giving up the long ball, extreme fly ball, but you know what? He gets strikeouts. If he can limit the long ball at all, he'll be productive in the major leagues, either as a reliever or a starter, and he's definitely flippable, and 4 million is not a bad asking price. So we'll give Luis Heel a chance. He's the first real competent pitcher I've seen here among these 3-star, 2.5-star guys who's under the age of 30. Michael Soroka, we just gave him a shot, and he was a disaster. Martin Perez, 35, might offer some stability. Sean Tajelli, how tall is he? 6'11". Not the best pitcher in the world, but definitely the tallest. Urquidy, Ian Anderson, not great. Urquidy's just got the control and the BABIP. Zach Thompson's got 5 decent pitches. He's not a major league guy to my eye, only 92 to 94. Once again, not great control, gives up the long ball, but as a AAA guy, not bad. As a depth option, not bad. But yeah, I'm not seeing the really obvious starter that I want to sign here. The guy I'm most tempted towards, I mean, maybe Brady Singer. 14 million a year for Brady Singer. Another guy that struggles with control. I don't like bringing in so many guys that struggle with control, especially when I said that I wanted to bring in guys that don't struggle with control, guys that put the ball over the plate. Michael King is the guy that I'm most tempted towards. Let's see. 6 years. We'd have to give him a lot more per annum, and that would probably get it up towards 30. Patrick Sandoval wants 13 million. I don't like the basic pitch ratings. I don't like the BABIP. I don't like the control. But he had a really good year last year for the Red Sox. That's a high offensive environment. Made 33 starts to a 1.37 ERA plus. Let's see what his FIP was. I just want to see if he got lucky or not. His FIP was 3.65. He struggled with FIP at times during his career, but overall, a decently reliable starter and probably the best we're going to do for the price. So I feel a little cornered into it. He's also a lefty, so you know what? Yeah, let's do Pablo Sandoval. We'll give him a little extra money just to make sure we get him. But that's a nice short-term deal there that can help shore up the rotation. Most definitely. And Zach Gallen, as a former All-Star coming off a year where he really struggled, he's got good control and good velocity and a plus fastball, slider, and curveball mix. I'm not saying I believe in him, but I'm willing to give him this $7 million contract. Or even better, I'd kind of rather give him 1 year for $9 million and just keep a little finger on the trade trigger. Mike Burrows is a 4-pitch mix and only wants a minor league deal. We'll see if he accepts that. Sandy Alcantara, how the mighty have fallen after his Cy Young season. He is a ground ball pitcher. He's fragile. Pretty much a 1-pitch mix. He's got 3 pitches that are just going to get destroyed. You can see why his ERAs are so bad. When you've got a slider, a changeup, and a sinker that the ratings are that low, guys are definitely putting that in the air. Even if he is a ground ball pitcher, he's definitely getting hit around some. So that's going to be an unfortunate pass on Sandy Alcantara. Brad Keller's got good control, managed to limit runs last year, but only as a reliever. Seems like he was probably a garbage time reliever for the Cardinals. Tony Gonsolin definitely had a fall off there. Joey Lucchesi also. Herman Marquez is here. Look at how they massacred my boy. Derek Rodriguez, same thing. Lots of guys from past OOTPs that I like to pick up. Seeing him here now in a pretty dastardly state. Let's look by pitch ratings. Maybe we can discern something a little better. Brent Hendrick doesn't look bad. He's a borderline starter reliever, only 35 stamina. He also Again, struggles with the long ball and control, but he's very cheap and has managed to keep his ERA down for all his issues, probably because of the really positive three pitch mix. I'll admit, other than other than Sandoval, and even Sandoval struggles with control a bit. We're not really bringing in the kind of pitcher that I want to bring in, but the kind of pitcher that I want to bring in is hard to find and expensive. Guys that throw the ball fast and get the ball over the plate. Well, Adbert Alzolay, the fastball and the slider just aren't quite there. You know, if we want a guy with a good fastball who puts it over the plate, we can filter and look for that specifically. The velocity is at least 96. And then we can sort by control. And we see Luis Hill, but we also see Bo Brisky here for a pitch mix. He might be an okay depth guy just for the organization. Still only 28. 4 or 5 pitch mix, 4 pitches. Yeah, that's a minor league pitcher, but he's not awful. Not the worst guy in the world to sign. Can't afford Chris Sale, of course. Alcantara we already looked at. So let's go to relievers and see if we can pick up anybody who maybe is really a starter masquerading as a reliever. Not seeing anybody. Frankie Montas down here with a 5 pitch mix, fly ball pitcher. Same issues we've seen, but again, that lack of control and lack of home runs, it gives him affordability. The 45 isn't awful, but I don't quite know that we have the money for anybody anymore. We've managed to spend pretty much all of the money that we were granted, so Jose Leclerc has actually been an excellent reliever in the time that he's gotten. Still struggles with control like in real life, but the same great velocity, fly ball pitcher, really great fastball and slider. So we'll bring him in. He only wants 1.9 million. And I also wanted to look at backup catcher, but I think that we've spent a touch too much money here, and we're just going to have to simulate forward. Let's see if we can find a decent catcher, maybe on a minor league deal that we can bring in. We only have 2.8 million left. Nah, truth be told, I'm not seeing anybody, and even when you don't filter anything out, I'm not really super enthralled with the free agent catching options here by any means whatsoever. So we're going to start simming forward. Maybe our catcher answer will come out of the minor league system. Maybe our catcher answer will come out of the Rule 5 draft. Let's sim to that Rule 5 draft and see how we fare with free agent luck. Yeah, I'm not trading. It's a kind of trading Austin Martin for a player of a very similar caliber. So we're going to reject that deal. Did we even put Austin Martin on the trade block? I don't think we did. I don't really think I want him on the trade block, truth be told. I'd rather send him down to AAA. Brett Beatty is our guy who's on the trade block, of course. We might trade Jonathan Morales, too, if we find a new backup catcher. Austin Wells, of course, being the starter. Hunter Harvey, our reliever, seems like a wanted commodity. That's good to know, but this offer from the Mariners doesn't include anything special. Interesting trade here. Shota Imanaga from the Cubs to the Blue Jays for Anthony Santander and a couple of minor leaguers. That's an interesting deal. Okay, I just see Romy Gonzalez. Romy Gonzalez traded to the Reds for this young second baseman, Tyson Lewis. We'll see what he turns into. It's two heavyweight boxers in the same name, Tyson Lewis. Somebody got named after a prize fighter. Now it's Gavin Sheets for Austin Martin. Again, I didn't put Austin Martin on the block. The rest of the league seems to fancy Austin Martin. I mean, he had a plus WAR, can play a lot of positions, steal a base. Pretty much the only thing he lacks is power. There's a reason he's still on the roster. I might not love him as a backup infielder, but I'm only really going to trade him if I think it's worth it. For Nick Mears and Christian Hernandez. I don't even know what this deal is, no. Here we go. Patrick Sandoval signs the deal. So does Luis Arias. Sandoval also in. See Matthew Boyd signing a big deal with the Mets. Zach Eflin to the Astros. Luis Arias we're going to promote to the Minnesota Twins. Same deal with Patrick Sandoval. Hopefully, our new manager moves him into the rotation. We got to clear some room off the 40-man. I wish we could put Mason Barnett on the 60-day injured list instead of waiving and DFAing him. Who is the worst player on the 40? There we go. Jonathan Morales. We're going to waive and DFA him instead of trading him. Patrick Sandoval will come onto the Major League roster. We do have Diego Cartaya to be a backup catcher. He's in Double A right now. I guess I'll move him to Triple A again. Why not? And we're definitely going to have to clear more guys off the 40 as more guys sign. Edgar Caro. Interesting prospect traded for Cameron Weston. That's an interesting deal. Two guys you see moved a lot in this year's Out of the Park baseball. Edgar Caro, you got to think the better player. Could really turn into something there. A catcher, another catcher for the Orioles. Don't really know if they need another catcher. Adley Rutschman not good enough for you, I guess. Another offer for Wade Meckler, this time for Quinn Priester. I'm absolutely not doing that. Quinn Priester is not on the block at all. Uh-oh, here come the draft lottery results. It's the big moment. Let's look at some of these contract negotiations. Nobody is mad. Nobody's asking for more money. All right, cool. Seems like these guys are probably going to sign. But let's take a look. Draft lottery results. Here they are. The moment we've all been waiting for. The worst record in the whole MLB, and we get the 6th damn pick. The lowest pick we possibly could have gotten. The Athletics jump from 7 to 3rd. The cursed White Sox jump from 6th to 2nd. And the Marlins jump from 3rd to 1st. That's not terribly unfair. I don't even see the second place team, to be fair. Whoever was the second worst team got completely jobbed and isn't even in the top 6. But we, as the first overall pick, fall all the way to 6th. Again, it's the MLB draft. We're still going to get a very good player. But, yeah, I have every right to be peeved about that. Hopefully the Rule 5 draft comes up before our guys sign. We can do the Rule 5 draft here before any of our guys sign. We have a much easier 40-man roster situation to manage out. I'm curious about the Rule 5. Let's see who's available. So Mason Barnett injured. We picked him up on waivers. I'm going to put him back on waivers, unfortunately, just to remove him. Hopefully he doesn't get picked up, but I want to have a couple slots here for the Rule 5 draft. The other guy that I want to remove from the 40-man ahead of the Rule 5 draft is Koyo Iowagi, who had a very disappointing stint in the MLB this year, a 7.32 ERA. Side armor. Can pitch out of the bullpen, obviously, but can also start. But he had a brutal time this year. It doesn't even throw 90 miles an hour as well. So we'll see what we can get for him in a trade, if anything. Hopefully a minor leaguer. And we can clear that spot off the 40. I'm not seeing anything there. Let's see if we retain 100%. We can get a minor leaguer of any kind at all. Alright, so nothing. So we're just going to waive in DFA Koyo Iowagi, which is a shame to see, especially with the money he's being paid, but it is what it is. And now we have 2 free spots on the 40-man roster. And the reason we're freeing up these spots is I was at St. Paul. Let me go back. Is to add Andrew Morris, who's a young pitcher that I like a lot. Decent velocity, 6-pitch mix, I believe 5-pitch mix, and excellent control. We'll add him to the 40-man. Maybe he'll see some Major League action this year, especially if the team struggles, which, let's be honest, we probably will this year. My expectations for this particular season coming up are not terribly high. Adam Macko is going to stay off the 40. Simeon Woods Richardson would be interesting to add to the 40. Carlos Rodriguez might get picked, but it's not a big deal to me. It just isn't. He doesn't have the best power-eye combination. Yorbit Vivas might get picked, but it's not a huge deal. Not necessarily racing to give him a 40-man spot. Wichita. Let's take a look at who's down in Wichita. I think there's a higher chance we're going to need to protect somebody in Wichita. Yeah, Jorge Barosa should honestly probably be in AAA. He's a very talented player. For AA at least. Moises Chase is a guy we traded for, and he might get picked up, but I don't know that he's at that echelon of player. Carlos Duran I definitely would like to hold on to on the 40. Gabriel Gonzalez, I just think if somebody does pick him up, they'll send him back. He's not ready for the major league, so even if he does get picked, it's not that big of a deal. Ricardo Olivar, though, this guy kind of needs to go on the 40. Robert Gasser had a terrible year, but I'm just not willing to give up on him yet. We need to get somebody off the 40, though. Matthew Lugo is okay. He's 25, so it kind of sucks to do. The truth is, I think Olivar is a better player. He's just got a higher ceiling, so we'll put him on the 40. I just don't want him to get claimed. Back to the draft pool. And yeah, all right, I'm not seeing anybody else. So there we go. The 40-man roster is full. I hate to disappoint you guys, but I already looked at the Rule 5 draft pool, and I don't see a single player that I want to take, to be honest with you, this year. There's obviously some promising guys out there, but despite how bad of a team we are, I don't actually think there's anybody here that could really help the team right now. I mean, you see some okay guys, but that's Jorge Barrosa. That's our own player. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, I mean, that's another guy that I'd actually like to put on the 40 if we can find a spot for him. Cam Schlittler, too many pitches in the mix. Connor Prelip. I think maybe we can give Dylan Lesko a good old wave in DFA, to be honest with you. He's on the borderline. He's 23. He's talented, but I think we can give him a wave in DFA. Jorge Barrosa does a lot of things well. Doesn't strike out. Really good eye. Gets on base. Excellent defender. Arguably shouldn't be in AAA. It's just his size, I think, that keeps him off the Major League roster. But, we got rid of Peyton Neal, so we need another short guy. And like I said, I'm just not seeing the well, let's look at pitching ratings. We're gonna look at pitcher stuff. But I'm just not seeing the elite guys here that are really gonna make a big difference for us. If we're looking for a control pitcher with high velocity, there's definitely options. TJ Nichols, but I just think this guy would get blown up in the MLB. Mike Walsh is probably going to be a decent pitcher in the future. If we like him, we can eye him in a trade. He's 25 also and in single A. Michael Kennedy, only a 3-pitch mix. He's 6 foot. What is it? 6 foot. I don't know, only 6'1". I think there was another player on this team who was like 6'7". Yeah, I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing the big guy here that I'm willing to make a whole deal to facilitate getting on my team. And there's definitely not a batter with a real with a real difference making hit tool who's anywhere near Major League ready. So it's a bit of a disappointing Rule 5 draft. I guess most of what we did in this Rule 5 draft was protect our own guys. Jonathan Long looks like he's going to be an okay Major Leaguer one day. Since he often fails to run out plays, I'm not. That's not the biggest deal. I'm not. Yeah, okay. We're just going to sim the Rule 5 draft. I do have a feeling we're going to get somebody taken from us anyway, despite all the effort we put in. And it's a little weird in a year where, let's see what the scouting director recommends. Actually, I'm just interested. Nobody. Yeah, okay, cool. Nice. Complete draft. Hopefully nobody gets picked from us. I have a feeling they will. Simeon Woods Richardson gets taken. That's not a shock. He's going to the Orioles. Good luck there. And Yeremy Cabrera, 21-year-old right fielder. That's a pretty good player. He was probably in high A. Yeah. Had a pretty good year in high A. Did we get him in a trade? I feel like we maybe got him in a trade. Yeah, he was part of the Kumar Rocker trade. Where we got Adolis Garcia, Alejandro Osuna as well, and Kumar Rocker. Pretty good trade for us. Yeremy Cabrera also. So that was a pretty good prospect we got. Not too sure about how he's going to do at the major league level. I wouldn't be surprised to see him released back to us. But hey, it's disappointing to lose him. That's a decent prospect that we lose there, unfortunately. We just got to keep our heads up and keep adding to the minor league system any way that we can. There's going to be plenty of chances to do that in the future. Let's take it to the international free agent period. Dylan Lesko gets claimed by the Colorado Rockies. Good luck, Dylan. Did not have a great time for us as a Rule 5 draft pick last year. Negative 1.2 WAR. Ultimately, we give up on him. Rod Molina, the new star pitcher out of the Cuba, linked with the St. Louis Cardinals. It's another offer for Matt Harvey. This one's not that interesting. We're going to keep an eye on that. Walker Jenkins is excelling. That is excellent news. There's Dixon Garcia excelling. Riley Quick on track. Yo Frank Castillo on track. Devin Salty been on track. Ronnie Mauricio on track. And Quentin Young is the only frustrated young player right now with his direction and his development plan. Is that Aroldis Chapman? Aroldis Chapman, wow. That is amazing. A 2-year deal for 38-year-old Aroldis Chapman, averaging looks like about $27 million a year. What a deal for the veteran. And here come all the signings, and I'm going to cut this episode off here because I've got a lot of work to do here to start episode 4 to clear out spots for all these big free agents we just signed. There's definitely going to be some big roster moves coming up in this next episode to start the next episode. Brett Beatty, we're definitely going to try to get rid of. Don't be surprised. Robert Gasser, we might try to get rid of. Austin Martin, we might try to get rid of because we got to clear guys off of this 40-man roster. Juan Miranda's spot might be in jeopardy. We've got to clear guys off this 40-man that's already very tight, as we saw in the Rule 5 draft, to make spots for Gallen, Luis Fiel, Ozzy Albies, Yammer Candelario, Jock Peterson, Taylor Ward. We're adding a lot of talent, hopefully productive talent to this team that's going to help us have a much stronger season this year. And to start episode 5, it's going to be the very important task of clearing those spots off the 40-man roster. So stay tuned for that. Like and subscribe, guys. Thanks for staying all the way through to the end. Peace out.